Hello and welcome to Liberated Yoga studio for a Pitta balancing class. We are in the heat of the summer now and everyone's Pitta Dosha is vulnerable. Join us. When Pitta is out of balance, the body is susceptible to infections. Pitta governs all metabolic transformations, including mental digestion, our capacity to perceive and understand things as they really are. Hot weather causes an overabundance of fire in the system. Common symptoms of the Pitta Dosha aggravation are inflammation, acid reflux, skin rashes, oily skin, eye problems, sweating, and a craving for sweets and cold foods. Pitta's emotional reactions to things are anger and confrontation. When we are out of balance, we often seek or crave that which would only imbalance us more. So our yoga practice can be used to find balance. Let's position our arms wide to open up the chest and begin to lengthen the exhalation. One of the things that happens with people who have a lot of Pitta in their system, for everyone in the Pitta season, is that it is hot and often humid, and so it's easy to get overheated. So our practice needs to be very meticulously paced, where we should include plenty of twists to stimulate the Pitta in the small intestine, because that's where it collects, that's where it becomes over present. The small intestine is right in the center, right underneath the lower ribs. So full diaphragmatic breath, when the diaphragm is going down on the inhale and pulling up on the exhale, is actually directly massaging almost the small intestine, the stomach that sits right underneath it. So one of the best things for Pitta is to really focus on those full diaphragmatic breaths, and the longer exhale will help the nervous system relax. So as we focus on that full diaphragmatic breath, really expanding the ribcage circumferentially in all directions, you can have your arms wide and slowly turn the head side to side, making sure the face is relaxed, the jaw is relaxed. And at some point the inhale will naturally deepen. And as it does, make sure that you're sending that deeper inhale into the lower back ribs here as well. Expand towards the back body, that ribcage on inhalation. After turning the head side to side for a minute or so, do some easy head circles. Another thing to make sure we do in our practice is to practice selective engagement, selective relaxation skill, because what often is a pitfall of Pitta is overdoing, overzealousness, that strive for attainment and perfection often gets the better of Pittas. So moderation and balance is key to take care of our Pitta Dosha. After a few circles, position the arms down the sides, and we'll inhale, reaching through the front up overhead, and lengthen. You can arch the low back a little bit, and then exhale, bringing the arms down, round the low back towards the floor. Let's do a few of these coordinating breath and movement together. Inhale to reach up. Exhale to reach down. Long exhale. Deep, full inhale. Maybe one more. And then if you've had your pelvis up on something, you can take that out so you can grab your knees in and massage your low back with a bit of rocking side to side, circling and egg beating. Let's take a moment here and connect our awareness to the lower body, to the pelvis, low back, sacrum. Hold on to the knees with your hands as you do this to restrict the amplitude of the movement. Make it really effortless and easy and comfortable to do. Circle with the knees together in both directions a few times, and then circle like egg beaters. Thighs away from each other, towards each other, making mental notes about what the hip joints feel like today. And some easy Apanasana, pointing and flexing the feet as we go. Still holding on to the knees throughout. We'll inhale, legs away into tabletop, point the toes. And exhale, draw the knees into chest, flex, pulse. Continue at your pace. Really trying to coordinate movement with breath as precisely as possible. Sandwiching the movement inside the breath. Let the inhale begin, then move, point. Let the exhale begin, then move, flex. So that the movement fits inside the breath perfectly. One or two more. To give our low back a moment there to recover from any stress and tension that could be there. And then when you're ready to move on, straighten the legs on the floor and reach overhead on the inhale into a long full body stretch. And on the exhale, grab one leg back in and give it a circle or two or three. Before inhaling, full body stretch. Exhale, other leg in. Let's continue. Making sure our exhale stays nice and long. So if you feel a little stiff in the hips or low back still, the long exhalation will help bring some ease. Good. And then let's do straighten and bend. So we've worked on our hips. Let's work on our knees a little bit. Grab one knee in, one leg in, clasping the hands behind the thigh, and on the inhale, straighten and flex. Exhale, bend, point, and pulse. The other leg needs to be bent on the floor so your low back has some room to arch and round as you pulse. This will continue to release tension, but more targeted to the side that you're working on, because we don't carry tension symmetrically and evenly distributed around. There's pockets of it here and there. And by working on one leg at a time this way, we're able to tap into that and make some progress. One more. And then switch legs, do the same on the other side. Straighten, inhale, flex. Bend as you exhale, pulse. And compare the two sides. Compare this side to the other, especially if you notice like, this hamstring is tighter than the other, or this hip is tighter than the other. And continue long exhalations. Now we'll do both legs together. So grabbing both knees in. Inhale, extend both legs to the ceiling, flex. Arms overhead, fists. Tense your body and then exhale through the mouth. As you grab the knees in and pulse. Let's repeat a few times with this very noticeable contrast between the tense on the inhale as we reach out and the dump and release on the exhale as we pulse. Think of it as a contrasting shower for your nervous system. It helps to reset it. A couple of more. And then an easy twist next with the windshield wipers. Let's put our feet down wide apart, arms also wide so the chest is opening. Tuck your shoulder blades down a little bit for a little extra sense of broadening across the chest. And then exhale and twist the knees in one direction, head in the other. Inhale, center, maintaining neutral pelvis. And adding a self-resistance with with the muscles in your body, reaching and stretching into the shape. We'll be doing quite a few twists today to stimulate blood flow to our digestive organs, which is the seat of Pitta, especially, like I said, the small intestine. But for that, we really need to be able to engage our deep core muscles for stability. So next, we're going to practice our deep core activation. We'll start with the low rise. Zip of the belly in butterfly, where we inhale. And as we exhale, we close the knees, we activate the feet, we engage the low belly while keeping the low back in a neutral arch. And then on the inhale, we open and relax. On the exhale, we close. Engage together with the feet, just halfway up to the belly button, without rounding the low back, without gripping with the glutes. So here's our selective engagement, selective relaxation practice, where we selectively engage inner thighs, pelvic floor, lower belly, without tension, without gripping in the shoulders, without tightening in the jaw. Let's do a few of these and practice that, creating just enough effort where we need to, and staying relaxed and at ease where it doesn't need to be contributing any work at all. So this low rise inhale, zip really helps to keep stability for the low back. A little rest in the open butterfly, and we'll do the imprinted kind of the zip, the high rise, where we do round the back. So when you're ready, exhale, close, engage the feet, pelvic floor, and continue from the low rise on upwards all the way to the ribs as you round the low back towards the floor. Inhale back into neutral, open and relax. And as you're doing this, the slow rise becomes the high rise. The neutral becomes the imprinted. Again, make sure that you're not tensing elsewhere. You're not gripping with the buttocks. You're not tensing in the jaw or face or eyes. So the effort is very targeted, moderate, enough for the task at hand, and not too much. Yeah, one last one. And a little rest back in open butterfly. So when we're doing our twists, we'll be mostly practicing the low rise zip. So that will be next. We'll try that with legs in tabletop. So when you are ready to move on, find your neutral. Bring the legs up into tabletop. Lightly squeeze them together. Engage the feet. And the arms again can go out wide, shoulder level. On the inhale, we'll twist, tilting the legs together about halfway over to one side. And on the exhale, we'll do the low rise zip to come back to center. Inhale, twist, balance on the hip. Exhale, low rise zip, and come back to center. Now as you're doing this, make sure your knees do not come apart, nor do they slide. Sometimes when we're not really lifting the whole hip over, the top knee slides back and the knees look like you have legs different lengths. So you really need to anchor them in tabletop and lift a whole hip over and balance there and use the low rise zip to come back to center. And it's a smaller range twist. We're not trying to bring our legs all the way to the floor. Finish up your round and hug the knees in for a little reset to the low back after all that twisting. Next, let's again put our legs in butterfly and clasping the hands behind the head. Practice a sit-up while maintaining neutral. So oftentimes, if you remember sit-ups in high school especially, well I do anyway, we were doing sit-ups where you had to round your back and really kind of hunch forward like this. We're going to be doing a micro sit-up maintaining neutral. So as you exhale, squeeze your heels together and maintain a little lumbar arch as you do a mini sit-up off the floor. Inhale, lie back. Exhale, heels squeeze, low rise zip, and mini sit-up. Working to maintain the pelvis in neutral. So we really try not to engage the rectus abdominis, which if we did, would be pushing up here, belly will be coming up. We're engaging transverse abdominis, the deepest layer of our core, so the belly should remain flat as you sit up. One more, and let's hold this micro sit-up, making sure our head is comfortable. So relax the head into your hands. Keep your chin tucked, and then we can add the legs one by one into tabletop and do a crisscross here. So inhale in place, exhale, straighten your right leg and point your right elbow across towards the left knee. Inhale, center table, exhale to the other side. Maintaining neutral, moving slowly at the pace of the long exhale. To twist, mini twist. This twist is not happening in the low back. The low back is neutral and stabilized by our low rise zip. This twist is precisely targeted just at the lower rib level, and it's a small one. Maybe one more. Feel free to rest anytime. And when you're ready to rest, again, hug the knees into chest to reset the low back a little bit with a soft pulse. Inhale, knees away. Exhale in, pulse, pulse. Maybe one more time. All right, let's come on to our side and do some more joint mobilization. Bring the knees up at 90 degrees. Rest your head on the bottom arm, and the top arm will make a generous circle. Forward and up on the inhale, and then behind and down past the hip on the exhale. Make your first few circles as comfortable of a range as possible, but keeping the low rise engaged and the knees together to anchor down the low back. So all of this twisting is happening again higher up the spine, your thoracic spine. You want to rotate the chest, disassociate the ribcage. So you look up at the ceiling, your chest is twisting up towards the ceiling. Engaging the muscles of the arm to create more sensations. Good. After a few, your shoulder joints feels like it's easier and easier to move, and then we can do a little extra. So let's imagine our arm as the minute hand on the face of the clock. We'll reach forward for 3, a little further. And we'll reach up by the ear for 12, a little further. And then for 9, behind. And then folding the hand with the palm facing out on the small of the back, down for 6, while turning the face towards the floor. Inhale, forward for 3, up for 12, behind the back, shoulder level for 9, and then behind the back, down for 6. Let's do one more. Really finding a little extra inch of length in all of these directions. Meanwhile, hopefully the knees stay together and the low rise hip stayed active. To rest, put your hand on the floor in front of your chest, and we can do some leg circles with the low rise hip providing stability. So gradually find maximum stable range for your leg circle. Keep your low rise hip engaged throughout so that there is minimum wobble. And if you engage the foot, spreading the toes, deepening the arch, it'll be easier. The foot will be sending sensations to your nervous system and help engage the core better. Let's reverse the circle. Inhale, circle, exhale, circle, so not too fast. And then we'll do another twist, starting with the side body stretch on the inhale, with the leg reaching straight down, and the arm reaching straight up over the ear. You bow the ribs and you really breathe into the side rib cage. And then on the exhale, bring the knee high up into the chest and the bent elbow back and down towards the floor behind you. Inhale, side stretch. Exhale, knee in, elbow back twist, supporting head throughout. Long exhalation with the low rise hip as you're twisting. One more. And then then we'll do the same on the other side, but first let's come onto our back, grab our knees in and do a little reset for the spine, for the low back, pulsing the knees a little bit here. And then to stretch the upper back, which is the one we moved quite a bit with our arm circles, you can hold on to the legs, move the knees away from you, have your arms be pulled forward, and your spine rounded in kind of a C shape to stretch the space between the shoulder blades. Yeah, good. And now we'll do those same things on the other side. So flip around, bring your knees up at 90 degrees, your head resting in the bottom arm, your neutral low back and the low right zip to support you. And as you inhale, reach forward and up, exhale, reach behind and down, past the hip in a moderate range, easy circle with disassociation of the rib cage, twisting right at that lower rib level, keeping the knees together and on the floor. Invite a self-resistance into the muscles of the arm and the upper back, as if you're stuck in molasses. This will create extra sensations, make the movement feel more meaningful for your nervous system that is feeling this, feeling these sensations. After a few of these, the shoulder joint is mobilized and we can do a little bit more. So if you're ready for that, reach forward for 3, chest almost like lying on the floor, and then up by the ear for 12, and then behind the back for 9, and then the palm facing out on the small of the back, down along the tailbone for 6, face turning towards the floor. Let's do 2 more full rounds of these little extra reaching. And then resting the hand on the floor in front of the chest, we'll do our leg circles. With the low right zip, anchoring down the pelvis stable and neutral. An active foot contributing some information. Slow, steady breathing, slow, steady movement. And then going in the other direction. Very good. And then our twist. On the inhale, we stretch the side body. On the exhale, we twist with the knee in, elbow back and down. Add a little tense release if you like, really actively reaching on the inhale and then melting and softening and releasing into the twist on the exhale. Make sure you support your head and are not tensing in the neck or face. One more. When you finish, come onto your back again for a little reset. Grab your knees in. Inhale out, exhale in, pulse, pulse. Once or twice. So these rests are very important to allow a nervous system processing time after the stimulation to tissues and bones that we have just done. To stretch the spine if you like, hold on to your legs, move them away from you, have your arms be pulled forward, round the spine, keep your chin tucked. Good. And then lie back. Now if you would like to add a little fun here, as transition to child's pose, you can do an easy spinal rocking. Keeping your knees kind of tight, get yourself curled up off the floor and start rocking back and forth, massaging your spine, keeping the knees about the same distance away from the chest and the chin tucked, creating a nice smooth curve in the spine. And see if you can catch your balance on the shoulder blades for a sec, and then on the tailbone for a sec. Yeah, catch that balance with the legs up in the air. Catch this balance with the legs up. That's a little bit of fun. And then the hard part is to actually come into a squat and catch your balance sitting. Yeah, so that's the hard part of this transition, which you can use to transition onto all fours. And let's meet in child's pose, where we have our knees close together, again for the purposes of restricting the breath, going forward a little bit, and encourage the breath to go into the lower back ribs more. So let's have our arms forward, our hips back towards the heels, and linger here for a moment as we expand the lower back ribs on the inhale, targeting that. Once you feel established in the back body breath, use it. On the inhale, come into table, arch the spine, engage the low rise zip, and inflate the lower back ribs. Exhale back into child's pose. Let's practice. Turning on the low rise now on the inhale, in a back bend, supported by the expansion of the lower back ribs. Let's meditate on bringing those elements together. On the inhale and table. To test your low rise zip if you want, on the inhale and table, once you've zipped, see if you want to add a little micro hover of the knees off the floor. Without losing the low back arch, without losing the zip. That's a little extra challenge. Pittas always appreciate some little extra challenge. Yeah, and then some cats and cows. Next time we're on all fours, where we practice low rise, high rise zip. Inhale, arch, low rise zip. Exhale, round, high rise zip. Continue at your pace back and forth and work on fluid spinal movement, vertebra by vertebra. See if you can create a really even distribution of that rounding all along the spine. And then the jump rope of the spine with the inhale, center sway back. Exhale, lateral, squeezing side. Keep exhaling, rounding. Keep exhaling, lateral, other side. Inhale, center sway back. Reversing the direction. Make it smooth and fluid. And if your exhale is nice and long, you might be able to do a couple of passes in the same direction without feeling like you're being rushed. Let's do a few to each side. Churning and churning. Right in the midsection. Stirring energy around our third chakra, our Agni in the stomach and small intestine, the seat of Pitta in our body. And then calm that energy down in child's pose with back body breaths. So first you want to fan the fire a little bit, and then you send a nice cooling, expansive breath down that way to keep it balanced. Good. Let's come onto the belly, do some easy back bends. Propping ourselves on the elbows. Here, let's find our low rise zip and some easy shoulder shrugs to feel the shoulder blades, where they are, how they move. To release any possible tension from the neck, sometimes when we're doing back bends, our shoulders tend to slide up towards the ears and the chin is coming forward. To keep track of that, let's look over the shoulder behind us a few times to loosen up the neck, to become more aware of how the neck fits into this shape. And for best experience in Cobra, we want to keep the chin slightly tucked as we try to really lift and open the chest. So that's key here. Let's have our fingertips wide, hands on the fingertips to continue to open and broaden across the chest. Low rise zip, back body inhale as we come up, tucking the chin and sliding the shoulder blades down, and then release on the exhale, cheek to side. Low rise zip, inhale up, chin tuck, exhale down, cheek other side. Continue at your pace, just cycling your awareness through all the alignment points you need to keep track of, such as your low rise zip, your back body breath, your shoulder blades, and your neck and head position. Try and use just the fingertips for support without really cranking up using our arms. We want to engage our back muscles. Couple of more at your pace, and again, anytime feel free to rest. Respect your body's signs of fatigue. This is something Pittas really need to work on. That moderate exertion, don't want to strain. When you're ready to rest, support your head and do some windshield wipers with the shins swinging side to side. So that was to engage muscles of our upper back, more for low back and glutes and legs. We'll do leg lifts. So your head could be hovering up a few inches off your hands or resting down. Low rise zip as you inhale or exhale, extending your legs straight up from the hip. And then bring it down and side to side. You can exhale if you need more support from your core. You can inhale if you're seeking more space in the low back. Either way, keep the pelvis level on the floor. Keep your chin tucked, lengthening out through the crown of the head. And as you extend the leg up, really working to engage our back muscles, glutes, low back, and hamstring. Try and avoid digging the other leg in and lifting the hip or a hip point up off the floor, right? We're not using our hip flexors, really extending, using our glutes. Yeah, a little rest, windshield wiping, side to side. And then we'll do some more for all of our back body, including upper back. So let's reach forward with both arms into full prostration. And on the inhale, let this upper back almost round a little bit as the shoulder blades slide up. On the exhale, lift everything, spread the legs, tuck the elbows back and down, hover like you're skydiving. Inhale, full prostration. Exhale, lift everything and hover. So we're using our back muscles to lift into position, into the skydiver position, everything. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, engage. Remember the low rise, zip. Remember the neck and shoulder blade alignment. Couple of more if you like. Rest if you're tired. When you're ready, transition through table, back into child's pose, and to release our back, we'll do easy child to table. Inhale, table, neutral. Exhale, child's release. A moment of reconnecting to our back body breath, again in child's pose, breathing into those lower back ribs. And to embody a balance of any dosha, but Pitta especially today, since that's what we're looking for, we'll do spinal balance. And in it, as you come into table, find that neutral with the low rise zip, little dip in the low back. And then on the exhale, engage your belly as you extend a set of opposite limbs and reach full length, pushing away like you're pushing elevator doors from closing. You're trying to stop it. And then inhale, replace the limbs on the floor. Exhale, re-engage the low rise and reach the other set of opposite side limbs. Stay for a breath as you push away, elongate. And let's do a couple of more on each side. Finding stability, long exhale, shoulder blades, zip everything, checking all the boxes. On your third round, if you want additional challenge, either A, stay a little longer, or B, move the limbs side to side to try intentionally make it more difficult to keep nice square pelvis and shoulders to the floor and balance. Just a little bit on one side, optional, and on the other. Good. And then resting in child's pose, roll the wrists, back body breaths. Good. Now, after we've stirred up all this fire in our center, around that small intestine, more back bends actually kind of help release that heat and cool down. So we'll do some lunges with kind of warrior arms next for that purpose. So when you're ready, step forward, say with the right leg. Widen, lengthen your stance here. Maybe moving the back knee a little further back so that you feel your hips are really reaching in opposite directions. And then with the low rise zip, bring your shoulders back over the hips. And on the inhale, sweep the arms up and overhead, maintaining a strong connection to your core, shoulder blades down and chin tucked. And then exhale, exit, back into child's pose, all the way on a nice long exhale. Inhaling into table again, step the left foot forward, or whichever your other leg is going to be this time. Make it stance long, low rise zip, shoulders back, inhale, sweep side and up. Keep the chin slightly tucked even as you lift the chest. Exhale, exit, all the way back to child. Let's do that about 3 times on each side, finding that anchor in the core. That low rise zip, and from it, that opening of the chest, that nice, evenly distributed arch. Long exhale, taking us back into child's. If anybody wants to challenge themselves, their last round could be done in high lunge. So before you come up, engage the back leg, straighten through the knee. You may wish to shorten your stance a little bit, just tuck that leg in a little bit, and with the zip, bring your chest up and sweep side and up overhead. And that could be a nice challenge here if you want a little extra. Good. When you're done, come back into child's pose, and let's do a few down dogs for a nice symmetry and that inversion factor that it gives. So when you're ready, come into table, find your neutral, anchor your shoulder blades, look down at your knees and lift them together on the exhale, and shift back, back, back first into down dog, lifting the tailbone high, keeping the knees bent and the feet flexed, and hanging the head, and checking that the shoulder blades are still anchoring down the back a little bit. Slowly, on your next inhale, release the knees again together, hover, 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 and back into child's pose, back body breaths, wrist rolls. Now, what makes down dog particularly good for Pitta Dosha activation is if you focus on maintaining neutral and elongation, you will have effect of the belly kind of suctioning in, a little bit of Uddiyana Bandha happening when you're in the shape. It's like your core muscles are scooping in and basically dumping all of your guts and small intestine, of course, first, and colon, right on top of your diaphragm. And then lying on top of your diaphragm as you breathe deeply, you're massaging right the Pitta seat in the body. So let's focus on that when we come into down dog next. In table pose, we activate all of our alignment with the low rise and shoulder blades. And then as we come into the shape, make sure you're not overextending, hyper-straightening the legs here, rounding the spine this way. Keep the knees bent if needed. Reach the tailbone up and back so that you get the sense of the belly just kind of scooping in naturally. And then when you feel that, breathe into the diaphragm. Think of reaching with your breath for the small intestine. When you're ready to exit with control, release the knees, breathe into your low back. We'll do another down dog a little later in class. I talked about how stirring this heat, then releasing it is a good idea for Pitta, so we'll do a little bit more of the side work today as well. So let's come up on the knees. You can have some padding on the knees. And have the knees a little bit wider than hip distance. And to lengthen and open up these side spaces, let's have our hands behind the head, like this. And then we're going to be compressing one side. On the inhale, lengthening the other. And then on the exhale, with the zip coming center. Inhale into a lateral, exhale coming center. Not only you're shortening this side, focus on lengthening the opposite, reaching the elbow away as you ground the knee down. So opposite actions, shortening on the one side while lengthening on the other. It's not a very deep sideways bend either. Keep it controlled. Nice. And to take it a little bit further into the gate pose, let's first step our right leg out at a somewhat on an angle to the right. Quite a bit actually. Bracing the right elbow, reach the left arm over the ear. Focus now more on lengthening as you reach. Breathe into the side ribs. Open with the breath those intercostal muscles. Good. And then exhale, we'll do the same on the other side. We'll go deeper into these shapes in just a moment. This is just first opening of the territory. Finding our breath in all those spaces we're going to need it. Good. And then exit. Before we continue, I would like to do another twist, this time on all fours, to really work on, again, opening up the thoracic spine with the twisting action. So from kneeling, just come back forward into table. First will be a dynamic twist, where you take an elbow side and up on the inhale, looking up, and then reach underneath the armpit on the exhale, dropping the shoulder down, but keeping the supporting elbow always straight. Inhale, twist this way. Exhale, twist that way. You can see how the rib cage is twisting right at the midsection. You're really trying to isolate that. And then for a little stay when you're ready, as you bringing that arm through, bring the elbow down first, and then slide your supporting arm out a little bit so that it can be used as a kickstand as you go a little deeper if you want, with the shoulder and head coming towards the floor. Here we can breathe into the lower back, right into that spot.
The fire element is installed in the third chakra, which governs our kidneys and liver and adrenals. So breathing into those internal organs is really good to balance the fire.
Okay, ready? Inhale, come back up nice and slow. We'll do the second side after a moment in child's pose. So come into child's pose, breathe into the low back ribs. And when you're ready for the second side, back on all fours. Find your neutral, support with the low rise zip. Inhale, your other elbow bent, side and up, look up. Exhale, reach through, but stay up, yeah? So it's a dynamic twist. And this does create quite a bit of heat that we will be releasing with the gate pose and the camel pose coming up in just a moment as the final Pitta balancing act. When you're ready to stay, take your elbow down in the center first, slide your supporting hand out a little bit, and then come down all the way, if you can, to the shoulder, resting the head, using the supporting hand as a little kickstand to deepen the twist, with the shoulder blade maybe being pushed back a tiny bit, breathing into the low back. Finding with the breath those extra spaces. Now when you're ready, use this kickstand to lift up and out. And back into child's pose. Breathing into the back body. All right, well, let's do our gate pose a little bit more. Coming back on the knees. Have your right leg out more to the right. You can have it straight even if you like. And the foot can be flexed so you have something there to reach for, just mentally even. And then using that leg for support, slide your right hand down until you reach a lateral without coming forward in any way. Pure lateral here. And then reach over with the left arm by the ear. Find a nice breath in that left rib and stay in the lateral for a couple of breaths. For a little bit more, if you like, bring your left hand behind your head, support the skull, and then start turning the ribs towards the ceiling a little bit, rotating, keeping the chin slightly tucked because your hand is there holding the head. And then exit slowly. Hand to hip, back up, and switch sides. Left leg out, optional, flexing in through the foot. Slide down and staying in lateral. And then reach up by the ear. Stay here for a couple of breaths. Don't rush into that extra before you've taken a couple of breaths here at the very least, or as many as you need to feel that you're really settled into the shape. And only if that has happened, you can bring your hand to the back of the head and start opening up towards the ceiling a little bit. So you're sending this more towards the front. Good. Exit. Child's pose or down dog. I promised you one more if you wanted it. So, either child to table to reset the spine, perfect alternative. Inhale, table. Exhale, child, a few times. Or a nice down dog here. Focusing again on dumping those guts on top of your diaphragm and breathing straight for it. And when you've had enough, Back in child's pose, lots of breaths into the back body as you settle down. And before we move on, let's come and sit with our legs out in front of us. As you sit with the legs in front of you, spread them out wide. And really make sure your spine is tall. Your hands can be to your sides and slightly back for light support, but certainly not to lean on, and lean back and allowing your spine to collapse. Yeah, keep your spine really elongated, shoulders back, chin tucked for a little twist here. On the inhale, twisting knees in one direction, head looking over the shoulder in the other. And then exhale, center. Inhale, twist. Exhale, center. You'll start scooching forward, so it's important not to put much weight on the hands so you can walk them in with you. So you walk them in with you, and you feel a stretch in the chest, but it's not too much. Yeah, and then stay on your, say, left hip here. As you twist your knees to the left, you can keep your pelvis on the floor and just reach side and over with the right arm, or you can add the pelvis up. Keep both knees on the floor as you brace and reach and rotate the chest and support the head, sort of like a little half one-sided camel. And then exit by sitting down and flipping over. As you sit on your other hip, you can stay on the floor and reach side and over this way, or lift the pelvis as well, keeping both knees on the floor, and then add the slight rotation of the ribcage to the ceiling while supporting the head. Yeah. So that's a nice release to all that heat from the Pitta center. When you finish, come back into an easy forward fold, bending the knees, breathing into the low back. You can use your feet to stretch your back if you reach over the tops of the feet and press them into your hands like you doing gas pedal, and it will pull your arms forward, and maybe you'll enjoy this stretch. Alright, now we'll come onto our back and relax there for about a minute before we process everything with some nice closing shapes and movements. Yeah. So on your back, did the wrong thing. Should have done this. How are we doing? Yeah? Ola okay? Yeah? Good, right? So, a little Apanasana. Holding on to the knees, inhale out, exhale in, pulse, pulse. So the next thing, again, we'll come back to symmetry with a roll-up bridge pose. And again, we're going to focus on radiating that heat out from the core while at the same time stoking it with our deep core activation. So that's the balance. You want to be able to engage it, but you also want to be able to release it. Don't let it accumulate too much and start burning you up. So let's have our pelvis in neutral. Arms could be wide out. Inhale. On the exhale, Zip your low rise, zip your high rise, imprint as you roll vertebra by vertebra into a moderate bridge. Park in neutral there for the inhale, and then exhale, roll down vertebra by vertebra. Zip, zip, zip as you transition. Inhale in neutral on the floor, and continue at your pace, working to really fluidly transition vertebra by vertebra. Plant the feet nice and level on the floor. Avoid digging in with the heels. Distribute the weight through the feet evenly. Just generally seek balance, fluidity, smooth breath and movement. Start to work to lengthen the exhale. We're going that way next with the twist. So you can get started here already. Lengthening the exhalation. That will give you more time to fluidly roll through the spine. One last one. Hugging the knees in before we move on for just a moment to pulse and rest. Maybe turn the head side to side to distribute all that blood flow and circulation that the bridge is helping to deliver there in the neck, in the brain. And then if your low back is sensitive and vulnerable, have your feet on the floor for the next part when we twist. Neutral pelvis throughout as you exhale and twist. Knees in one direction, head in the other. Inhale, center. Or legs can be in tabletop. And you lengthen the exhale either way as you twist. Inhale, center. Now if your shoulders feel uncomfortable, as you try and bring the legs to the floor this time, as your knees say travel to the left, bring your right arm up by your ear a little bit. Enough to release the shoulder. You're still in the twist, just the shoulder is a little easier. And then level off as you inhale, center. And continue at your pace, side to side. And as you twist, lengthen the exhale. Stay in the shape if you have a pause at the end of the exhale. Wait for that inhale. And with it, come up to center. Keep your knees together and stacked. And the same continues with last round of Apanasana. We're again holding on to the knees throughout as we inhale, legs away, and then maximum length exhale as we pull them softly in, pulse them a little bit, seeking the pause at the end of the exhale. It should come naturally and be completely effortless. Good. And before we finish up, let's do one last anchoring for our SI joints with the hovering butterfly. So let's have our feet on the floor. neutral pelvis, and lift the pelvis up just a couple of inches off the floor. That's the hovering part. And for about a minute, we'll just do one. Slow opening butterfly. Very, very slowly opening, maintaining neutral, maintaining that suspension. And breathing normally in a relaxed way. This feels good. Just tightening up our SI joint so things feel very stable and anchored down for the rest of the day. And then very slowly closing. So all of that time we were just opening. Take as much time or more to close. Noticing any little wobble you have as you move. Taking all the time necessary to slowly, slowly close the butterfly. And then hugging the knees in for one last pulse. And then for rest, we come into constructive rest pose with the knees together, feet apart. You can put your legs up on a chair or a couch, or if you have a wall space, just turn around, put your legs up on the wall, and relax.
For Pitta pacifying diet, sweet, bitter, and astringent tastes are indicated. Food should be cool and heavy. Pittas have a strong digestion, and light foods would not keep them full for long. Food should also be a little dry without excess spices. Green, leafy vegetables and raw, cool salads are the way to go this time of year. Water should also be consumed cool. Coffee, and especially alcohol, should be avoided. Mild spices like turmeric, which is an anti-inflammatory, coriander, cumin, and mint, which are cooling, are best to use to flavor food. For Pitta pacifying practices, oil massage with cooling oils like coconut, sunflower, or even ghee. Your yoga practice should calm the mind. Keep the practice moderate so it doesn't generate excess heat. For cooling pranayamas or breathing exercises, try Sitali and Chandra Bhedana. I'm going to link them here below. Thanks for joining us. Namaste.